Welcome to Smart Remarks, where we ask the tough questions like Whiskas or cat chow. So this week we got the final recommendations from the Catfood Commission, otherwise known as the National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform. As expected, the document's pretty much dead on arrival, which in a sense is too bad because it had a few interesting things in it. Commissioners had said that everything was going to be on the table, and then they went and actually proposed reducing military spending. Now, not by a whole lot. It's not like they're going to close any of the hundreds of bases we have across the globe and bring the troops home. It's not like we're actually going to end the war in Afghanistan. But, for example, for the first time, it would require the president to propose an annual limit on war spending. Or maybe we just decide that the sky is the limit. And the proposal also suggested that the wealthy might have to pay a few extra in taxes here and there. It would eliminate the mortgage deduction for the second or third or fifth home. It would tax capital gains as ordinary income, which, for the highest tax bracket, is at a higher rate. But for its occasional bright and even honest spots, the report ultimately amounts to an escalation of the war on the middle class. Everyone's talking about how it would increase the retirement age and boost gasoline taxes, but for me, one of the most telling aspects of the report is where it talks about how it wants to lower healthcare costs by taxing the healthcare benefits a lot of people receive at work. The idea is that this is going to boost tax revenue, or it'll compel employers to actually drop their healthcare coverage, forcing you out there into the market. The Associated Press tells us, quote, it would turn Americans into frugal healthcare consumers by having them face the full cost of their medical decisions. Because, yeah, that lump, it could be cancer, and you might want to get it checked out, but why? Blow it off, don't spend the money, and if you don't spend the money, that's going to lower healthcare expenditures. Expenditures will fall, and maybe so will you. The AP also tells us that economists think that if employers ditch their healthcare programs, they might actually increase wages. Yeah, I see that happening, don't you? What's going to happen is this. This provides official cover for employers to ditch healthcare coverage, and they're going to save a ton of money. And sure, they could throw a couple of those extra shekels your way, or maybe they could find some other use for it. This is just one example of how saving the country is going to mean sacrificing the middle class itself. Social Security, Medicare, employer-based healthcare, programs which have contributed to the rise of and the protection of the middle class now must slowly be dismantled. This proposal is probably not going to become law, but it will become the baseline from which we argue, which is to say that in the future, we're going to accept that Social Security must be reformed. Of course, you must pay taxes on your health care coverage if you have any. With apologies to Hayek, this is the road to serfdom. Even as our great empire continues to straddle the globe, here at home, the butter is running out. Your government can no longer afford you. So how much longer can you afford it?
Mr. President, there is a war going on in this country, and I'm not referring to the war in Iraq or the war in Afghanistan. I'm talking about a war being waged by some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in this country against the working families of the United States of America, against the disappearing and shrinking middle class of our country. The reality